Sometimes it's too much. Just enough. Just a little is just
Uh,
enough.
hey,
Okay, looks like we're back up.
we're back. So I lost the internet for a second. It was not rigged against Smarty B. So I'm just gonna get in there before he says that, just to get there, so he doesn't get the glory of saying that. Anyways, we're back. So before we move on to the next question, here's my question to you, to everybody. Bonus points for whoever can tell me what the strongest card revealed in a final card reveal stream was, or surprise card. I'm just thinking of this one card.
Quarter Creeper.
No,
Yeah, Quarter Creeper was final dump.
no,
You mean initial stream or
no,
final reveal
one.
stream?
Like
Final.
there's so many
Final.
cards though.
Small-time Buccaneer.
There was a card reveal during the
Not
final reveal stream. Not this past year, but I think the year before that. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Corruptor?
No. Zephyrus was revealed during the final reveal stream as one of the last cards revealed in that set, because I saw that. I remember where I was at when I saw this shit, and I was like, what the fuck? How does this even work?
Yeah. What's going on?
Hot take, Quarter Creeper was stronger than Zephyrus.
Okay. Anyways.
Quarter Creeper wasn't on stream though. Yeah, my Zephyrus story is quite interesting, so I'll share it quickly. I missed the entire Savers of Oldham reveal season because I was going on a camping trip without internet, and I came back and asked people, like, fill me in with some of the best cards, and people started shit posting me with fake cards, and I got very first I thought it was funny, and then I got confused, and then the first real card they sent me was Zephyrus, and then and they got me twice on that one.
Awesome.
God. Anyways, we are back. We're gonna move on to the next question. We're gonna start here with Justin. We saw the introduction of spell schools. As I guess they kind of, I don't know. It was weird. Like they kind of talked about it as like a new mechanic thing, feature, or whatever word you want to use for the new set. But it's really kind of gonna be just part of the game. It's not like a part of just the new set. It's like they're just changing the game. Right. So, Justin, my question to you is, will the introduction of Spell School see more interesting spells introduced, or will it backfire?
I mean, backfire is a strong word. More interesting is also strong. I mean, this was a natural progression in terms of card game. From like game design theory, as someone who has worked in game dev before, like the developers always want the maximum number of levers and the fewest number of options per lever. That gives them the design space is normally defined as the product between all the different levers you can pull, right? If there's 5 different things you can touch on the Hearthstone card-ish. There's the text, the tribe, the cost, the health, and the damage. So the interaction between those 5 numbers is what you define as those unique things. So, I mean, the devs talked about this a few years back when they removed Enrage. All games over time, generally, their live service model like this, have keyword bloat. Of just you print a new keyword every expansion because that's cool for marketing. But then if a new player wants to come in, suddenly if they were coming in Classic, they'd have maybe 10 keywords to learn. If they come in 10 years down the road, they have 100, and it can feel very overwhelming. If anyone that's ever tried to get into, have a new friend get into Hearthstone or get into like Magic the Gathering these days, they know the feeling of, especially if they have previous card game experience. Like I know how to do this, I just don't know what these words mean. It's a huge barrier. The complexity of it being the sum of the total number of things that you have, the total number of types, because that's players have to understand each type to understand the interactions.
Yeah.
The ideal case is when you have a small number of types per lever and a large number of levers. So it's kind of natural to add in this new lever of having tribes for spells, basically, and it opens up a ton of new design space of interactions with other keywords, interactions with text, stuff like that. So I'm very excited about that. Because it's I don't know how it could either fail or succeed. It's all about what they use to do, what they choose to do with this lever. But given me trusting the devs, I'd rate them to do good things with it.
Gordon, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more interesting, mainly because of the discover mechanic. You're going to be able to things like discover a nature card now, discover a shadow card, not just discover a spell. I think it's going to open up, or even not even open up. It's going to focus in that discover mechanic that people have always had an issue with, where it's just discovering random outs to win, discovering hilarious ways to do things. But now you're going to be pulling from an even more finite pool that's going to guarantee you, I guess, more cards. It's tough to say, but I think it's better. I don't think it's going to backfire on them, because really it didn't hurt not having these as keywords before, and the only thing that's changing now is now it says nature. So there's a new legendary that we're going to see that says nature cards are +3 spell damage. So that would be your lightning bolts are going to do 6 now, but you can't just randomly generate a frost bolt and do 6 more damage like that off of anything like that. So I think it's going to do a lot better in the ways of randomly generating ways to just RNG your opponent out of a game, and it's going to be a lot better for just Hearthstone in general. Plus, the spells that they're introducing really make me ring back to the spell stones of old with the new rank up system that they're using. So I think that's a really cool mechanic too. So when you get them and they still cost the 2, and it's just, I think the spells are going in the correct direction, especially with them giving minions a way to interact with those spells. So, like I said, Brucon, the new legendary, I think it's awesome just to say, okay, only this set, you can't randomly generate anything else to kill your opponent or to help you out. So,
All right, Marty B, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think like everyone else, I don't really see how they can go wrong by adding, tribes and kind of separating things a little bit. We've seen how minion tribes have worked, Murlocs, pirates, and all that, how it allows for more design space where you can push certain things in a tribe that you can't in another, really. Like how you can't really make big Murlocs, for example, because big Murlocs would be very dangerous and snowballing. But you can make big demons. And with these spell schools, you can kind of think of a similar thing. And it's less about, like, I know someone has mentioned, like, you can RNG your way into a win. Is it really RNG if, it's more controlled? Because you have a smaller pool, you know what you're getting, and you know what you're looking for. And players want to have those outs, too, where they know their options, but they're not just randomly generating anything. Like, for example, Mana Cyclone. That generates any random mage spell. Those mage spells could be either insane or garbage. But let's say you want holy spells or nature spells instead now. You know what kinds of spells you're getting because the pool is smaller, and therefore it's much easier for you to get what you're trying to get. Okay? And there is a lot of skill testing within that. And the skill testing basis and the fact that they're moving away from this randomly generated value really enhances the player experience, in my opinion. Where you're not trying to just get value off of things. You're tutoring and you're trying to get certain kinds of spells. Just like before with tribes, you were trying to get certain kinds of minions. Mm-hmm. And I think that offers, not even just a better way of playing the game, but also better deck building as well, where you're rewarded. Mm-hmm. And so adding this and giving players rewards both off of good plays and good deck building really just enhances the experience overall and makes the player base happier, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
So I really don't see how this can go wrong.
So in the interest of just expanding the conversation, I was trying to think of how this could go wrong. I have some good points coming up, but I think the way that it potentially could backfire is by introducing a new mechanic or a new keyword. It's going to be really cool for mages and shaman and maybe warlocks because they clearly have multiple schools to pick from. But for some classes like hunter, just all nature, or warrior, I mean, what even are they? Are they fire? I guess, I don't know. Arcane, paladins, all holy. I mean, there's going to be some, not so much boring, but like limited classes that only have one school to pick from, and then it's not really going to make much of a difference. And people are going to be like, okay, I love paladin, I only get holy spells. This isn't really cool. But I think overall, I do agree with the other points, though. I think overall it does make it more interesting. I think in some ways it can make spells more interesting because you can do a little bit more creative things with them. You could have dual dual school spells like Frost Firebolt or something. Like Shadow Flame could be Frost Shadow and Fire. So there's some interesting things that could do there that allows the pools to mix a little bit. But I think it really adds a lot of interest in the cards that support spells. Obviously, it's what I talked about, card generation, bringing in specific pools, discover, bringing in specific things. But I think there's a lot of interesting things you could do. You could go back to the Witchwood, where cards would flip from more attack or more health depending on how long they were in your hand, and you could see like a card flips from Holy to Shadow, like a key card that could change between. My dog did not agree with that point, but that's okay. The longer it's in your hand. And the cards that already we've seen, that the more mana you have, the more powerful they are. So you could see that with spells too. Like, and the longer they're in your hand, the more they develop into a specific school type or something. Like, there's a lot of different ways you could take this. So I think overall it is definitely a more interesting change. They just have to be careful with the classes that don't necessarily lend themselves to having multiple schools, of not just being more of the same. So
yeah. Alrighty. Well, we're gonna take a little detour from standard changes here, and we're gonna take a trip into the world of THL for 2 questions. So we have 2 more questions for our mulligan round. The first one being Pro Series, and then the second one being Wild Series. We don't talk a whole lot of Wild, but I know Marty B's excited for that. So with our Pro Series question, let's start with always Justin Time here, because he has not gone first yet. So let's start with you, Justin. Pro Series question. You can take this a couple of ways, but I'll leave this up to you to kind of give your reasoning here. I want you to tell us who the most underrated player in Pro Series is this season.
Yeah, I went first that last round, but
you did.
Most,
Oops.
yeah,
Isocles.
most.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's Isocles.
Shit, never mind. Isocles can go first next round. Go ahead, Justin.
Okay. I mean, underrated is tough because you have a rating, which is kind of just your record. So saying who is unlucky or who's gotten a hard time doing, I guess, or who is having a big record but maybe isn't in the community much, so you don't see people talking about them. I would say the answer.
There's a whole many ways you can go about this. You can look at this like someone who maybe is performing super well, but they're on a team who's performing really poorly, and they're not going to make playoffs. Glass team who doesn't, you never see around, and then Discord, but they're, maybe 6-1 or something. There's so many ways you can go about it.
Yeah. Anyways, I was gonna say Molstar, because I don't hear him mentioned all that much. He's gone to several Masters tours, has qualified 1 through ladder, so he's clearly a very good competitive player. And just in terms of Player of the Week discussions, in terms of top players and teams in THL, I don't feel like he gets the respect he deserves, so to speak. He's has been some good players this season. 6-2, top of Swagoy Red, leading them on. They don't look like they're going to make the playoffs in that Black Conference, but has proved he is definitely going to has been able to hang with the best there.
Alrighty. Does Mr. THL know him? It's a good question.
Yeah. He has also made some very good chat copy pastas, which maybe he doesn't get enough credit for either. He is everyone's friend.
Alrighty. Marty B, what do you think?
Yeah, so I was looking around. Everyone knows I am the spreadsheet man when it comes to Pro and Wild. And I was looking around, seeing names that people don't really mention in Discord. And the one that comes up, you would expect this to be in pink, first of all, because everyone's like, pink is free, black is much more difficult. The power levels, or the player quality is much better in black. So already people are sleeping on pink. So our player has to be in pink. Beyond that, it's got to be a player that's relatively new to THL, doesn't really have a ton of Discord presence, like you said. We don't really hear much about them. And honestly, they're probably from a pretty good team. Okay, so they'll fly under the radar because of the rest of their teammates. And I'm looking at faction, and I have to go with Harash in the 1 seed. He's 6-2. I want to talk about who he's faced so far and beat. He beat C-Mac. Okay, he's beaten Brian O'Brien. He's beaten Natachi. These are all top-seeded players. He's done this all in the 1 seed the entire time, 6-2. And I have to mention, it's not like he's bringing top decks the whole time either. He gets pretty spicy. He has a very, very trademark menagerie warrior that a lot of people don't really pay attention to. And I don't think it's been brought up much at all. I've noticed he's brought it several times throughout the season. No one really says anything though. And, he keeps winning with it too. So you can tell that people are sleeping on him because they don't mention this at all anywhere in Discord, in any of the shows. No one ever really talks about him, but he brings it, he wins, and he doesn't say anything about it. He just goes on to the next week, continuing to churn out points, and he keeps doing this in the 1 seed, might I add. Okay, you can't sleep on this guy anymore.
Menagerie Warrior.
Yeah, he brings Menagerie Warrior
Interesting.
half the time. Yeah, see, you're sleeping on him right now, Menagerie Warrior, and he wins with it all the time.
I'm here for it. I might go steal that list and just hop on ladder.
Yeah, don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on Harash.
All right, Icicles.
I think. I mean, if you're talking about players in pink that no one's talking about that are just kind of dominating, it's got to be Flamekiller, right? He's 8-0. He hasn't lost. I mean, I had to look that up. I was looking at the stats. I was like, wait, Flamekiller's 8-0. I just saw him on ladder playing against Ron Mexico. That's wow. Okay, way to go. It's really good. I think pink is, definitely not to be slept on. Like black it looks great because it's really top heavy, but I mean, you kind of already got the top 4 set in a way, and pink is just really competitive. So every team's got to bring it every single week. ATK mode is right there on the edge of the playoffs, but Flamekill is definitely carrying them. So you got to give him props. And then I mentioned Ron. Ron's my backup for this. He's number 2 on my list. He's number 2 on the crossover stats. He's number 2 on basically every single metric. To different people, number 1, but he's number 2 in weighted win rate, opponent win rate, all of the cool stats. So shout out to my once and future teammate Ron Mexico. But Flamekill is the underrated, undefeated leader of the Pro Series.
8-0 is hard to argue with. Corden, what do you think?
Well, I had 2 tied, and I wasn't sure who really to pick. But with that answer there, I know who I'm going to go with. Flamekiller was one of my tied, but Wild 9. Wild 9 wasn't even actually on a team. Came in and subbed for my pro team twice actually. Then was starting to sub for F2L Red and I think now perma for F2L Red, and he's put up a 3-0 record in the 1 seed because every time he subbed Itachi, who was in our 1 seed on pro, which I know there's no rankings in pro, but he was up there against guys like you're saying, against Flamekiller, against Heat Shock and guys like that. So playing completely nuts. And not only that, in the Discord, he wasn't really a part of the team, but he was always vocal in our Discord, no matter what we were doing, helping us out with our deck list. We were a newer team, and he really helped us solidify deck list, bans, talk things through. So it's awesome to see, him going and getting subbed. We were actually going to get him to sub this week too, but we can't, unfortunately. So I'd say completely underrated because 3-0, you don't look at it, but still undefeated and only playing 3 times against, very, very strong opponents. I give it to Wild 9.
Alrighty. Let's move on to our last question of the Mulligan phase before we move to face or trade. Our last question is going to be Wild. We'll go with the pun and the legitimacy of it being in the Wild series here. And I want to talk playoffs. Because we are in the final week of the regular season, and we're going to talk specifically about the Green Conference because the Green Conference is looking very close at the moment. So let's talk Wild, let's talk Green, let's start Icicles, and your question is Icicles. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I had to edit this because I forgot the playoff format. So who is your playoff 3rd seed from the Wild Green Conference? There's not a whole lot separating the 3rd through 6 players right now. So who is your 3rd seed from Wild Green?
So my first inclination was going to be the Entertainers. I know that they started off pretty bad because they were a golden common for us on the podcast for a while, and then all of a sudden they're ripped off a 3-game winning streak, and they're right there as a number 3 seed. The problem is they're playing against F12 Viridian, and even though F12's got their spot locked up, I don't expect them to back off. Marty, you can fill me in on this, but I do expect it to be a 100% effort from F12, so it's tough to pick them this week. Then next up, you go to Hair Club. Hair Club's the next team up there, but they're going against Everyone's a Winner, who everyone is a winner on their team because they just never lose. So I think we got to jump all the way down to the winner of Made in Heaven versus Patches Payback. And I'm going to take Made in Heaven. So I think Made in Heaven is going to be the team that slips into that 3 seed. I think they're going to win this week over Patches Payback. I think they're going to jump the 2 teams in front of them because the 2 teams in front of them have absolute just death matches on their hands. So give me Made in Heaven.
Alrighty. Just so everybody knows, for Wild Conference, for Wild Series for the playoffs, Marty B confirmed this, right? So there's the top 3 teams in each conference, and then 2 at-large points. Correct?
Yes.
Correct. Awesome. Okay. I'm on the board and I didn't know this. I'm so sorry. I know
You're not in the Wild division. It's okay.
I know. I don't play Wild. Marty B, what are your
Shame.
thoughts?
All right, so I've been talking to a few people about this. So people might disagree with me, but I think we knew very early on that Green Conference was much more competitive than Brown Conference. The conference is just so much stronger than Brown, and it's very unfortunate because someone who deserved to be in playoffs is probably going to be cut because of it. And with that in mind, like you said, Hair Club is facing Everyone's Winner. Hair Club has the biggest uphill battle. I was talking to White Delight about it, and he's really not looking forward to this week because it's so difficult to face Everyone's Winner and get enough points to sneak in. They Made in Heaven has their chance here. Patches Payback, they're just having fun. They're going to screw around quite a bit. They do every week. One of them always brings even Reno Hunter, if you didn't know. So,
okay.
Yeah, Air Club really has that uphill battle. And the Entertainers, yes, they also are going to have a hard time because, not even because I'm on F12 Viridian, but because I know the kind of prep that we have and that, we're 7-1, second place overall, only behind Everyone's Winner. And, the reigning champs. It's not going to be easy for them either. So these guys aren't going to get a lot of points. I just don't think there's going to be enough between Made in Heaven and Patches Payback, though, for one of those teams to get ahead. So I really think the Entertainers are going to stay in third. The real debate is whether Hair Club, okay, it's not whether who gets third place. It's whether Hair Club can stay in the 8th seed for the second at large. Because Made in Heaven and Patches Payback both have a really good opportunity here. Hair Club just needs to get enough points to survive. I don't know if they can do it. I think they can if they want to prep. But the problem is Everyone's Winner is one of the most difficult teams to prep against, having done it myself. And they're going to counter you even when you're trying to counter them. And with that in mind, I think Entertainers will hold it because Made in Heaven and Patches Payback will probably go pretty even. But that's, again, not where the race is going to be. It's whether Hair Club can stay in that final spot.
All right. Well, we'll see if they prep. As we all know, prep is for rogues, not pilots. Gordon, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not too much of a Wild guy myself. I tried to play some Wild the other day. I saw a fun little rogue list that included overdrawing the Murloc, and I sucked, so I stopped. But basically, it's just looking at the list here. You got Made in Heaven and Patches. They are going to be fighting for it. It's tough to say. Hair Club going up. I didn't even know there was a team like Everyone's a Winner in Wild. That's outrageous. They have 20 average points per week, which is absolutely crazy to think. The maximum points that's almost the maximum points you can get each week. Like, that's outrageous. So congrats to them just for that. But I think it's the Entertainers. Honestly, I don't know if Hair Club can pull as much as many points as they need to. And I think that Maiden Heaven and Patch's Payback are kind of going to trade off this week. I don't think the points are going to be there for them to move up or down. It's going to be a very stalematey week. I don't think there's going to be enough points between those two to swing them up anything. I think the Entertainers are probably going to get in there. Hair Club has a battle, and I think Marty B knocked it on the head. It's going to be, can they hold on to their position there? Because going, like, you need to pull in some serious points there, because there are guys underneath you that can catch you very fast. So definitely Entertainers for me.
All right, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, Marty B and Corden said exactly what I was going to say. Isocles, did you look at the gap in points? Because Entertainers are up 14 points above Maiden Heaven right now going into this week. Do you know how many points you get for winning? Like, it's only max at 23 if you sweep everyone. And the average loss in THL gets 10.5 points. Like, even
anyone knows
average loss
that you can score fewer points than you need to lose playoff spots, it's me. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but again, the focus, because of this 2 wildcard format and looking at Brown Conference, it looks like they have a top 4 pretty solidified. It's basically a race for top 4. No one cares about, or not no one cares about top 3, but the 4th place team will get in playoffs too, but not the 5th. So the break off between 3 and 4 isn't that important, as Marty B and Corden pointed out. And for that, I mean, it does seem legitimate. Only 7 or 8 points between Hair Club and the Maiden Heaven versus Patch's Payback, that the winner of that match is able to get those 7 or 8 points and overtake Hair Club if they have a rough week. But 3rd place will probably just be Entertainers. And even if it's not, then they'll probably sneak in 4th. It's very difficult to envision a world in which they did not make playoffs.
Alrighty. Well, let's throw our cards to the side and let's get some new ones. We're gonna exit our mulligan phase and we're gonna throw some stealth minions down on the board, and we're gonna go nothing but face because we're doing the face or trade around. Now, as a reminder, when in the face or trade around, we are looking at more rapid fire responses. I'm going to give you statements instead of questions, and I'm going to expect you to tell me that you're going face, meaning that you agree, or that you are trading, meaning that you disagree with the statement that I am giving you. So we are going to start off with another THL question or statement, and then we're going to move on to 3 standard statements coming out of BlizzCon and the standard, the new set announcements and whatnot. So with our next THL question, and let's start with Corridon since he is in the lead with 13 points at the moment. Let's do a legacy question now, and let's talk Flame Pimps versus F2L Red. And Corridon, face or trade? The Flame Pimps will knock F2L Red out of the playoffs this week.
Face, absolute face. Those guys, like, you just look at the PR on the side of Flame Pimps. Their 3 seed is a 1 seed. Like, it's nothing to say against F2L, nothing against Marty, but they've got a hard battle ahead of them. I know you guys were ahead of them in the standings coming in, but it's going to be a very, very uphill battle for F2L Red this week. I really do think Flame Pimp's top 3 are extremely strong. Not to take away from Maya, Rebob, and Marty. The Rotted Zombie, though, is he's sneaky good, so it could come down to the bottom 2, honestly, against Boolean. That matchup, I'm very excited to see. Boolean, really good player, but the Rotted Zombie is known more for the wild, I think, and just getting into the standard and stuff. So it's good to watch, but I think Flame Pimps will knock out this week.
All right. Let's move from that to Marty. Marty.
Okay. I gotta go trade. Man, Corden, that might be worse than Jay Alexander's take on Stealth Rogue. I gotta say, like, how do you not go with F2L? Like, beyond me being on the team, the entire way we built that team was to win a championship. There were 24 teams. We weren't gonna risk it, where we were just gonna bring the team back and not win a championship. Like, you can't go into Legacy thinking, hey, let's bring back a defunct team that has never really had any success. without thinking that they can take on the best and win. Like, I very much doubt Flame Pimps has the similar level of prep. If anyone has dealt with Rebob, Rebob goes head over heels in all the prep and practice with every single one of his teams. It's insane. I've never seen someone go that in depth before. Beyond that, the way he constructed the team is probably the most powerful build that you can go when it comes to metagaming within THL. So there's a reason why we went with wild players. And a lot of people have been noticing that wild players are really good at standard too. And that's kind of how you get into these low PR 4 and 5 seeds so that you can get those wins and guarantee it, because your top seeds are going to be winning, 50-50 usually. And they're going to get wins half the time. So all you need is your bottom seeds to win, and you get there. And Flame Pimps, I wouldn't say Flame Pimps, has that same level of depth. Yeah, we're talking about the 3 seeds, but their 4 and 5 seeds are very weak. Like, we are probably very favored in the lower seeds. And when it comes to those higher level players, there's less of a skill gap. Okay, so all it takes is, one of those games to go the other way, and then F2L is through. It's just not comparable at all. And I can't go face at all. Even if I wasn't on the team, I wouldn't go face.
Okay. Icicles.
Base.
My bad.
Look, FTL Red's good. Don't get me wrong. I slept on them a little bit at the beginning of the season, and I was kind of punished for it midway through the season when they just kind of went on a tear. And I was like, you know what? I was wrong. Fair to admit that I was wrong. FTL Red's a good team. But Flame Pimps is a great team. I think they've consistently been the number 2 team in my rankings, right behind Justin's team, who, if they were part of this question, I would absolutely be just smashing face on whatever was we were saying about Foolish Madmen. But Flame Pimps are good. I mean, they ran the Silver Conference. Marty saying that their 4 and 5 are weak is, fair if you just look at the PR. But you gotta look at their records too. Anytime you have a 5 and 3 50 PR player, that's insane. It really is, because you are theoretically making a sacrifice when you have a 50 PR player in your 5 seed and trying to make it up in the rest of the seeds. And they did that pretty well with their 1, 2, 3. But their 50 PR is carrying his weight. Like, he's got a winning record. That's, you gotta give him credit for that. So I think this is a tough matchup. The 1, 2, 3 are just really strong. As good as F2L Red's top 3 are, Marty be included, even though he's walked off, it's fine. They basically, F2L almost has to win 2 of those 3, and I don't see it. I think Flame Pimps have been strong all season. I see them playing against Foolish Madmen in the finals next week. So, sorry, Marty.
All right.
You didn't even get to hear my apology. Sorry, Marty.
Justin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, F2L's a decent team, but I guess Marty B is the one who wants to circle jerk them. They started the season 4-0, then pulled the classic F2L gambit, lose 2 matches in a row, have your opponent not win in the seedings the last weeks, barely squeak into playoffs, get matched against a team in first round of playoffs who had 2 wins and somehow still barely beat them. Make it come down to the last match in the quarters on stream, barely squeak by there. It's a team that made playoffs. They're a good team. On any given week with low variance, they can win. But it's not like they're some powerhouse. Your 4 and 5 seeds are stacked. Their overall record is 10 and 8. Your opponent's overall 4 and 5 seeds record is 9 and 6. They're not blowing the roof off. If that's still great, then why haven't they won more matches? I don't know. Yeah, sure. I would probably favor them in this, but now thinking of it, seeing how well they've done the past 2 weeks. However, I will mention, if you have watched Tavern Talk, I will not attribute it to skill, but 2 weeks ago on the first round of Legacy playoffs, I called the entire playoffs. Not just the first week, but there was dynamic seeding. I made a prediction and followed up with what the matches would be. So far, I've called 6 of the 8 matches correct, but that was from 2 weeks ago, so I had to get the first ones right to get the seedings. And I said it was going to be Foolish Madmen over another team who's since been eliminated in one of the semis, and I said it would be Flame Pimps over F2L in the other semi 2 weeks ago. I would still, I'm feeling, having seen more evidence now, I'd probably go back on my gut for Flame Pimps over F2L. I was kind of just flipping coins then, because I figured I wouldn't be right this far, and who cares? I don't know. It'll be a close one. I don't think this one is at all obvious.
Alrighty. Let's move on to back. I guess not move on. Let's go back to BlizzCon and the announcements and everything that came out over the weekend. Let's talk Mercenaries mode. So, just like what Battlegrounds did with the Auto Battler, at the time when Battlegrounds was announced and coming out, you had your two big Auto Battlers, which were Teamfight Tactics from Riot Games and Auto Chess from I don't know who the developer was at the time.
So within Dota 2, and then Underlords came from that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a mob.
But Battlegrounds kind of pushed Underground or Underlords. What the hell was it called?
Yeah,
Underlords.
Underlords kind of pushed Underlords and Auto Chess to the wayside and kind of took its spot amongst the kings there, along with TFT. And you don't really hear much about that anymore. You just kind of hear Battlegrounds and TFT. Mercenaries mode is looking to do the same thing with the genre it's trying to enter into with the Slay the Spire kind of roguelite card genre. So my statement for you, let's make this a quick one because there's not a whole lot to dive into here, I don't think. Let's start with Justin. So Justin, face or trade, Mercenaries mode will cause the demise of Slay the Spire.
I mean, trade? Yeah, it's a completely different apples to oranges comparison. Slay the Spire is a one-time purchase, where this is a live service model game. They're certainly competing for. We don't know what about Mercenary? We don't know many details about Mercenary yet. But all the people who already paid for Slay the Spire, the developers already have their money. They're not getting it back. They're also not looking to charge more unless there's a future update. I'm not going to even speculate about that. So the criticism of Slay the Spire has been that the dev team's too small and it moves too slow, and players would want to spend more money and want more features. I've also heard misleading or contradictory reports of some devs describing it as Slay the Spire, but that seemed like more of like a simple, like, sum it up in one phrase, and other times they've explicitly said this will not be like Slay the Spire. You'll be leveling up characters, making it sound more like TFT. I still don't have a full picture of what it's going to look like. I mean, obviously, all sorts of entertainment compete with each other. Like Hearthstone, one of Hearthstone's biggest competitors is Netflix. I remember one of the devs talking about in the AMA a few weeks ago that they saw boosts in play rate when Netflix, the times it is down. But no, I don't think it'll cause Slay the Spire to be over. It has a very nice niche. It was just released on Android. Got lots of purchases there. I'm sure whenever it's released on iOS, it'll probably be well purchased there as well.
Hack can attest to that. Isicles.
I have to trade because the closest equivalent to Slay the Spire within Hearthstone already exists. And it's already Dungeon Run, and in a way, it's kind of duels. But I mean, that's the mode that Slay the Spire is, where you advance, you build your deck, you add treasures, things like that. That's very analogous to Slay the Spire. I think Mercenaries is a completely different direction. It's tough to say without seeing the gameplay what exactly it's competing against. I think there may be some element to Slay the Spire, like we saw the map, how you go up and up and up, and that's, I guess, but the really, it comes down to the gameplay. And I think where whatever it's necessarily competing against, I think the one thing that Battlegrounds did really well was just being a really good game mode. And I think where Duels has kind of struggled is it's good, but what's the incentive to play? And I think that's something that Hearthstone needs to address with its alternate game modes. Developers have said they want it to be a platform for card games, but right now all the rewards sort of trickle back into the core card game. So if they can figure out a way to incentivize repeated play beyond just Battlegrounds being a great mode to play, like if there's like some version of cosmetics or something, or some way to like advance your displays, or you're showing your prowess at the game beyond just an MMR, then I think this game mode really takes off. But if it's more like Duels, where you just play it and it's like kind of more analogous to Arena, then I can see it struggling a little bit. So we really need more data, but I think that's the challenge for Blizzard right now, is to get that in-game incentive that's not just giving you card packs or experience towards the reward track, something that actually is unique to the Battlegrounds, unique to Mercenaries, unique to Duels, that gives players that play a lot something to shoot for, something to achieve within the game mode.
Gotcha. Marty.
So I gotta go face here. You guys don't see it, do you? Like, so Slay the Spire, yeah, it was super successful. but who's buying it now? It just came out on
Hat.
Android, and well, Hat is busy playing. Isn't Hat still busy playing Hades?
Yes, to both.
Well, with that said, Slay the Spire just came out on Android. I know one of us mentioned it before, but it really actually hasn't been doing all that well. A lot of people said it's a lazy port with poor controls, lots of bugs. It just really was bungled. And the thing is, it's on the Switch, and it shows that, with the Switch being Android based, they could have done something very similarly and had a successful product, but they haven't. So there's a market and an opportunity right there for Hearthstone to just slip in and take advantage of. With Slay the Spire, it's been the same old the whole time. There hasn't really been any updates, no expansions, no DLC, and Hearthstone can take advantage of that and provide an evolving experience with this. Okay, similarly with Battlegrounds, where we've seen everyone kind of turn to Battlegrounds because, it feels clean. It's very easy to jump in, much easier than the others, I feel. It's constantly evolving and updating. Every few months, they finally have everything right with Battlegrounds. And they can kind of do the same thing with this new game mode if they really want to. The competition has slipped. And this is a great opportunity. People are still into roguelikes. People want this kind of game. And Blizzard can take advantage of that. So I think they will.
All right. And finally, Corridon.
Yeah, I'm trading on this one. Absolutely. I love Slay the Spire. It's one of my favorite games to play offline. I play it all the time on the Android. I'm in love with the game. I don't think it's going to even come close to, or Mercenaries is even going to come close to Slay the Spire. And I think Battlegrounds has a lot to do with that. I don't think people who play Battlegrounds are going to stop to go play mercenary modes. And I think when Duels came out, people are really reluctant to dump so much content and so much into one mode, where we saw Crypt go crazy into Duels and so many streamers went heavy into Duels, and then it got no support and then it just fizzled right out. Slay the Spire, yes, it's a standalone, you buy it once, but you can do so many different builds so many ways, and I don't know if Blizzard and Hearthstone are going to be able to have the same basis. And also, the thing is that it's on Steam, which has a lot of mod support. I know mods don't happen in Slay the Spire, but there's always the future that can, and community support is one of the biggest ways games like that take off. And my last thing is, Slay the Spire has a lower viewer count or even play time, which means it has such more of a dedicated population of people that to tear them away from something isn't going to be easy. That's the way that, all of those games styles are, is that those populations just don't go away from the games because something new and fascinating comes out. They love those games, they play those games, and I'm one of those guys, so I trade all day.
Alrighty. Let's move into a card that was released with on the day of BlizzCon, that being Vol'jin. So Vol'jin is a free legendary minion that you get for signing in to the client, or not to the client, but to Hearthstone. So my face trade statement, and let's start here with Marty B. Marty B. Vol'jin will see play in a THL finals match.
Easily. It's going to see play. It's already seeing play in several decks. I've seen it in Highlander decks, Highlander Druid, Highlander Mage, Highlander Priest. I've seen it in some Control Warriors. I've seen it in Wild as well. Okay, people are playing Mecha'thun Warlock. I know Rada just hit Legend with Mecha'thun Warlock with Vol'jin combo today. He did it in Asia. Okay, even Odd Warrior wants that card now because that's disruption, and that can cheat out Baku. Someone's going to bring it. I don't know who, but someone will bring it. And it's not going to be a meme either, because the card is not a meme. Yes, it goes into meme decks like Malygos Rogue, but it has utility in other decks. And because of that, it will see play. I think Legacy comes first, right? We'll see it in Legacy first.
Yes.
Yeah, Legacy would be the first one.
Because
Yeah, I think we actually see it in Legacy, and I think we see it in at least one other series.
Legacy Hero Wild Pro.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Isocles.
Face as well. I think the Vol'jin is actually a pretty good card. It's a pretty creative card. I think it does two things, like Marty was kind of talking about its ability to be in combo decks, but I think it also has the ability to disrupt combo decks. And we've seen a lot of players, especially at the high levels, which we would expect out of our finals competitors to be playing OTK, Demon Hunter, even Mozaki Mage. And Vol'jin offers a way to disrupt that. Priest has a Lucia, but no other decks really have a way of fishing cards out of your opponent's deck or hand. I mean, Hufflebot, I guess, but that's not really reliable. But Vol'jin, you can kind of see when it's coming. If you pull their Oganath, they're just dead. If you pull their Mrazaki, they're just dead. So it gives some decks a way of dealing with those popular OTK decks. And then it's good in just as a general tempo play sometimes, because you can trade off, like in Highlander Mage, for example, trade off your Armor Vendor and throw down Kaligos, if you can set it up right. So there's a lot of different ways you can use it, a lot of versatility too, and I think that's the hallmark of a good card that good players will find uses for. So yeah, I would say that we'll see Vol'jin make an appearance in a THL Finals match.
All right, Corden.
Yeah, Face for sure. If you see a Highlander deck, you're probably going to see Vol'jin. I was watching a stream the other day and I saw somebody Vol'jin they Zephyred into get a Tyrion, and then they Vol'jin the Zephyr and play the Tyrion. So it's like you can't argue with that, right?
Yeah.
You know how to get Tyrion off of Zephyrs. Well, let's just go get a second one. Or now we have the removal, right? That's outrageous. You're going to see that, I think, in a Highlander deck. I don't know if you're going to see it in the combo decks too much, because with the way that things are right now and you see so much aggro, it is more difficult to get to those combos, and I don't think that facilitates those combos, but I 100% think we will see it. I also think that if Marty gets through, he's bringing it, so we'll see it in his deck. That's why he's going to force it to be right.
All right, Justin.
I'm ultimately going to agree with these guys, just on sheer numbers alone and the amount of hype around the card that someone will probably bring it. But I'm going to go with a different tack and say they're wrong with it. You just replay right now, over quite few thousand number of games sampled. The card has a 46% win rate in decks that include it, and its drawn win rate is 44%. So its decks aren't really winning much, and it's below average in even within those decks. So certainly there's a lot of really bad decks that's being run in now that's polluting the data. But even when you go to the highest sample size things, the things that look most legit, it's not performing all that great. It's the epitome of your ooze, your very flashy card that when it works, but it sits dead a lot. And I actually tried to help a teammate, to Isaac point, prep with the card for ODK DH over the weekend, thinking about bringing it, and it's just a worse Hecklebot. It's incredibly conditional, because in order to dirty rat the effect from the hand, the Demon Hunter actually has to play a minion, and it turns out they don't run many minions, and they don't normally play them if they can, because it's the same premise of trying to play around Flick. They can, if they can hold minions, they choose to. Hecklebot is just far more consistent of having much more uptime to pull things and give you more mana to remove them, and it's not like people were running Hecklebots all over the mana beforehand. But that being said, it's a fun card. Someone will probably run it. However, the interesting thing is right now on Diamond to Legend, I see Malagos Shaman. Enough people have played it that it has a 500 game sample size on HS Replay, and it has the lowest win rate of any deck I've ever seen on there. It is 21.9%. It is absurd.
You say that now,
21.9.
if you
community
take off,
has raised their head into the wall 500 times with this deck. I was playing as Priest on ladder against it the other time, and I beat it by going the 3-mana 3/2 Mam Lazul, taking their Malagos, copying it from their hand, but they had farsighted it. They discounted it, so they didn't actually need the Vol'jin. So they played Vol'jin defensively on one of my minions. They pulled out the Malagos, then I top decked a Lucia, stole their burn cards, and killed them with it. Easy.
jeez. Actually,
so yeah.
if you take off the filters on HS Replay and you go to you go to some of the basic classes, there's always the basic constructed decks that Blizzard makes using the basic classic cards. You'll always find one of those decks on there. If it's bronze to legend, the entire thing, and it's 18% win rate. It's really funny to see. All right, Blue gets a point because someone bought the reward for it. You're welcome, Marty. We have one more question, and Marty
you gave that to Justin.
Oops, crap. There we go. Oh, now we have a three-way tie at 17. Never mind. So I'm just, you know what? I'm gonna give the advantage to Corridon here since he's in the lead and everyone else is tied at 17. Corridon, do you
Ooh.
want to go first or last?
Hmm. I'll go last.
All right. How do I do this order? We're just gonna go clockwise. We'll let Marty go first since he won last week. So,
Wow.
hey, that could be an advantage. You could take everyone's talking points here. So, we saw the announcement of one of the legendary cards, the legendary minions from the upcoming Forged in the Barrens expansion, and that is Mankrik, which is a legendary minion who puts his wife in your deck, and then you have to search for his wife in your deck, who has been lost, and then when you find his wife, it summons a 3/10 copy of him that just immediately attacks your opponent's face because his wife is dead and he's upset.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So, Marty B, my face of trade statement to you is with the introduction of Mankrik and the way he is being presented as a mechanic and as a card, we will see more lore mechanics in the future. I'm putting this in quotes because it's not really a mechanic, but more like lore cards in the future like this.
So, I mean, do you want me to go over what the lore is and why this is like probably the best meme card of all time, so the audience understands?
I
Because I
mean,
feel like that's very important
go for it.
to the
I'm not
question.
in the WoW, the WoW
So
culture.
neither am I. I
but-
actually learned this because a friend of mine, Keith Numbers, he was looking at the card, reviewing it with a bunch of us, and he's like, I don't really know the lore to this. Let me check. So early on, this is back to 2004 when WoW came out. Mankrik was an orc where he's just asking where his wife is. And the thing was, you really couldn't find his wife. Everyone, like, it became a meme in the community because everyone was like, where's Mankrik's wife? Where's Mankrik's wife? I don't know. Because you could never find him, or you could never find her. And so later on in the game, in another area, you would find a dead orc. Okay. But it was implied that that was his wife. And so there was this big meme saying that Mankrik killed his wife. Okay. And anyways, it had to do with like some sort of side quest
Mhm.
where they just didn't know, and that was like the ongoing theory and meme. And eventually, Blizzard updated the game. They removed the side quest, and in the place where the dead orc was, they have a gravestone that says "Rest in peace, Mankrik's wife." And so the meme was born, and people have talked about it for years and years, and now it's in Hearthstone. Okay,
Mhm.
and the idea was Mankrik killed his wife, and as we see, dead wife, and it summons Mankrik, who's very angry with the dead wife right there. Mankrik killed his wife.
Oh wow.
Yes, that is the meme. Okay, and you're looking for him, obviously.
Isicles is not happy with what you just said, but I'll let him get to that when it's his turn. But
I
Marty,
mean, this is like what I know. It's probably not completely accurate, which is completely
Sure.
fine. But everyone gets the point. So yeah, I do think we're going to see more of these cards because people like flavor, and this is probably as flavorful as it gets. Really, it doesn't matter if the card is playable or not. You know, no one's going to get mad at a single neutral legendary not really being competitively playable, especially in one expansion. You know, we can afford to have a few of those with, 2 legendaries in every class, every single set, as well as extra legendaries from the mini sets now. So I really do think I want to see them do more of these flavorful cards where, yeah, they show they can have a little fun and they can do something different. They can appease the fan base a little bit, where in this case, they're appealing to what's called Vorthos. If anyone knows the types of Magic the Gathering players, Vorthos is the one that likes the lore. They play the card game for the lore. And this is pretty much that kind of card. You just want it for the lore.
Yeah.
And seeing that they're doing that, they're hitting an untapped resource
Mhm.
where there's so much to explore. And there's more gameplay elements as well. They can have new mechanics through this and just create a much more unique game and really utilize the fact that this is a digital card game.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I see them doing this a lot.
I mean, you could do this in a traditional card game too. It's just a token. You can use whatever for this. I mean, they've done similar stuff in this patch. Maybe not quite so lore-centric, but there's been some cool cards like Fugan Stalag, like the map to the Golden Monkey, stuff like this. But this definitely takes it up a level. From my reading of the Warcraft Gamepedia, not like I ever played World of Warcraft. I'm not sure that's quite the meme, but it's probably close enough. Apparently became a meme answer that you just said Mancrick's wife of whenever asking any random generic question. The other thing of note is that Mancrick has actually been lore-wise within Hearthstone for a few years. I did not know this, but when they changed the Secret Keeper art, her new flavor text says, "Where is Mancrick's wife? She'll never tell." Which is kind of a nice allusion to that. The other thing I'm excited for is in the BM punished meta, the all-important thing. Previously in Hearthstone history, let's say your opponent has a Blood Mage Thanos on board, and for some reason they haven't conceded. They're letting you kill them. Like, you have a bunch of minions that you can attack base. Well, some people may decide to kill the Thanos. And previously, there's nothing really that could punish you. I mean, there are soul shards, but those were a minor thing. We'll just forget about that for nothing. I mean, maybe the opponent will draw a bomb, and then they're extra dead. Hey, I really can't wait for the clip. You know it will happen, where someone kills the Thousands, kills the Loot Hoarder, and then out from their opponent's deck comes Mancrick's wife as they are on 3 or less health, and they lose. And the moment that happens, I will be overjoyed at seeing the BM punished. So yeah, if we can get more lore cards, or even any more BM punished cards, these are 2 great reasons that this has been added to the game.
All right, Icicles.
All right. So apparently I'm the only
watching your
well nerd
face.
here.
I feel like you have
Yeah.
something.
All right. So in terms of answering the question, I'm gonna do a little ETC trading here, where my minions are trading, but they're sending a little damage face, because I think they're gonna do this again in the future with lore mechanics. But I don't think any of them are gonna be as good as this one, because the real story behind Mancrick's wife, for anyone who played WoW, played on the Horde, go to the Barrens. It's a side quest, and you try to find it, and most people eventually find it. But then, as the game progressed and through the years, people would come and start the game and go through the Barrens and try to find Mancrick's wife. No one could ever find it. Like, all the noobs couldn't find it. And what ended up happening was all the people that knew where it was would tell them to go somewhere else. The Barrens is a huge zone. So you could send these brand new WoW players on just ridiculous wild goose chases. Like, go check by the hyenas, go check by the waterfall, go check by the desert. It's like, you just screwed with people, like, constantly. And it was hilarious. Like, Baron's chat was, honestly, it was a precursor to Twitch chat without the flashy emotes, because people were just like total trolls there. Like, that's where it started. Like, Twitch chat evolved from Baron's chat back in WoW. So Mancrick's wife is just like the epitome of that troll culture that memes all day. So Mancrick's wife has a steep history that anyone that played WoW is really happy to see this card, even if it's not necessarily that good. The lore behind it is pretty solid. So yeah, I think they'll keep doing things like this because it's fun, and you can tell that the people that are designing Hearthstone played WoW and have those stories to tell. So they're going to tell us their card game, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think they'll keep trying to do stuff like this, and it may not be as successful as this, but this was good for anyone that played WoW. It felt like going back 10 years to running around the Barrens like a chico they had cut off. So I'm in favor of it.
All right, and Corridon. And no, Marty, it's not because I don't have time to stop and read it, because I'm listening to people talk. Go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, I'm face here. I think we'll see more, and I think we already do in the Book of Heroes. Isn't that really all what the lore is about? I mean, it's not card based, obviously. It's not card text, but that's what they're really pushing towards, is the Book of Heroes. I mean, I love the Book of Heroes. I know they're not the biggest things that people like, but those are all lore based. I never played WoW. I think I played to like level 10 once, and it's just not, I'm not an MMO guy, but learning the history of the Hearthstone, like of Jaina and Rexxar, and, learning Anduin and everything like that, to me, it gives me an additional understanding and kind of revitalizes my love for the game. So I got buddies who play WoW forever. They probably love this card, and they don't play Hearthstone because they're all WoW guys, but I think we'll see it again. I could tell you I'm not going to be happy when I pull this as my only legendary from the set, probably. I wish they would have just given this to you, because it's not a great card. I wish they would have just been like, here, guys, have fun, instead of maybe like Vol'jin. I don't know. Vol'jin's fun because you can use him and play him, so I'm happy we got him. But it would have been nice to get this guy on opening day, maybe as a surprise flavor text. But yeah, I think it'll happen again.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we have our 2 finalists, and they just so happen to be our 2 new hosts here. So, Corridon and Always Just in Time are going to be sticking around for 3 more questions in our duel round, while Sickleys and Marty B are going to take a back seat and just chill and listen, and they will be back at the very, very end to say their final goodbyes. Marty, you're losing your crown. Do you have anything you want to say really, really quick before we put you on mute?
My copy pasta was worth points.
All right. Let me get these point totals reset back to 0, and we will get underway with our final round here. So we have one more THL question for you tonight, and it's going to deal with Hero, because in Hero, we are starting playoffs this week. So the way that this works with the 2 of you, Corridon and Always Just in Time, the person that was in the lead is going to go first, and then so Corridon will answer first, and then Justin, you will have a chance to respond to him or say something else, whatever you would like to do. And then for the second question, Justin, you'll go first, and Corridon will respond, and then we'll flop for the third question. So Corridon, starting with you, question number 1. What does your Hero Series playoff bracket look like? Who's winning? How's it going down?
Who's winning?
How's it going down? Simple question.
Right off the bat, I mean, I think, man, I mean, you can't vote against Vote of Some Confidence. You just can't do it, right? You really can't. They're lights out. They've been amazing this whole time. Ask HS, Mr. Python sitting there. Draco's my old teammate, so we got to pick them up there. And then Tonk, I love it. We're taking them. C-Max crazy. Turtle at the 7-0, and the 2 seed is wild. And final, last but not least, I like a little dab on them. Just get a little dab in there.
So what's your finals look like, and who's winning?
Finals? Finals is probably going to be Vote of Some Confidence versus. Oh man, this is a tough one. Vote of Some Confidence versus Tonk, and I think Vote's going to win.
All right. Justin.
Okay, I'm going to have to do a really naughty thing to you here and say that, hey, you're stealing my thunder here as a host on Tavern Talk, the prediction show. You're going to have to come back Wednesday for my predictions. That's plain and simple. I called. I can only be a prognosticator once per THL season. I called Legacy basically as perfectly as you can get. If you want my heroes, you got to turn in 9 p.m. Eastern Wednesday, and you'll get them there, and only there. I'll give you a hint though. Okay. One of our finalists, the same, me and Corridon. So
all right.
He knows what he's doing for half of them.
All right. Sorry, Marty doesn't. I don't know if he realizes his rigged is backwards.
Yeah. Digger.
You're gonna have to write that backwards, bud. All right. So, Justin, I'll let you go first on this next one. We had an interesting ending to Hero regular season going into playoffs. We almost got to the 6th bottom level of our tiebreakers, which is a coin flip. Last night, we almost had to flip a coin. So what I want you two to tell me, starting with Justin, is the last 2 are more fun questions. So, Justin, to what should THL change its coin toss tiebreaker to?
And I think not only is he my underrated pro player, but he is the chief innovator of THL coin toss procedures. Moldstar himself pointed it out. The proper procedure would be to queue up a Hearthstone match and see who has the coin. It's that simple. Between the captains of the 2 participating teams. However, things get more complicated when there are 3 teams. What needs to be done is a 1v1, 3 pairs of the 3 participants, a 1v1 tournament to see who gets the coin. And unfortunately, what can happen is that if A beats C and B beats A, and then C beats B, you can get a 3-way tie. So you'll need to repeat these matches of Hearthstone to see who gets the coin until someone has won twice. And the good part about this is it might take a while. So we could even make it an event, have it on stream and casted as each player queues up into the match and then concedes before the match even loads in, so that it doesn't even show on stream. It's going to be beautiful. I would like Myanodon and Ron Mexico specifically to be casting it. That's my my thought on it. And I can't wait till we get a season this close again and can implement it.
All right, Gordon.
I was trying to think the best way. I was thinking like potato sack races or toilet
Mhm.
paper races, old things like that. But I really like to see if we could all just watch Donde play and take the over under on how many witchy lackeys he really pulled in a rogue match. I think that would be the best for me. Or how many 6 mana cards he draws on stream. Just everyone watching Donde play. That's personally it for me. I just think Donde has so much bad luck that he's pretty much the only tiebreaker we need in all of our Stone.
Okay, I like it. I like that
True.
one. I think that's got to go in the
Would be
official
better.
rulebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question here, and this one goes to Corridon. Now, this is a very, very thought-provoking question, so I want you to really think about this, okay? All right, I want you to close your eyes for a second, okay? Corridon, Justin, close your eyes for a moment. I'm going to put you in a scenario, okay? You're on ladder, okay? You queue up. You see Valera pop up on your screen. Your opponent is playing aggro rogue. Your question: how do you remove their minions while also developing your own tempo? Corridon, you first.
I saw the best list on Twitter today for just this scenario. I
Yeah?
can't remember who had it, but it was and I played a couple matches with it and I didn't get a chance. I think it was Hockey Boys. Yeah.
It was
he
Hockey Boys.
played it. Awesome. Like that's the list, right? Everything aggro, random bombs, bomb hoarder, like just I love it.
Mhm.
That's the way you do it. You queue it. You know what you do? You get right up to plat or diamond 1, and you gatekeep legendary for those rogues too. That's the best way to do it. Don't let them in. Play that one. Everybody else concede. Let them through. You did good. If I see one rogue, we're going the whole way.
All right. Justin.
I saw that list as well, and being a friend of Ben, Mr. Boys, as I like to call him, I actually had a private conversation with him where we iterated on that deck and not released to the public yet. This is an exclusive THL Around the Saloon reveal here. We made a better version because if you notice, that deck was mage but had 30 neutrals. So what if you made it priest?
Wait, hold
'Cause
on.
then you
Time
could
out.
run.
Was that really mage
Yeah.
with 30 neutrals? I saw
The whole
mage and
thing.
I skimmed it, but I didn't realize they were all 30 neutrals.
Mage with
Yeah.
30 neutrals.
He
Yes.
didn't even put like
So-
arcane missiles or arcane
No,
explosion in it.
mage with 30 missiles. However, if you chose priest, what you could do, because the problem is killing the stealth minions, the 3/1 stealth minions, you would you would be able to utilize the classic Wave of Apathy plus Stampeding Kodo combo for 6 mana utterly destroy those 3/1 stealth minions into the next galaxy. However, so that was a pretty good option. I saw on Twitter, I have to give credit to Itachi, the even better option. One sentence, very simple. Get in, loser. We're playing Sandstorm Elemental.
You're going class cards though. You can't go class cards here.
In THL Legacy, when Evolve Shaman was a thing earlier this season, I brought an Evolve Shaman list one week that I had actually never played the deck before. I just made the list, built it from code right before the match started. And I'm like, crap, I don't own one of those cards. Okay, well, what am I throwing in? Do. It probably doesn't matter, and I was correct. It didn't. The card sucked, but its time has come now.
Okay. -1 for Marty because Pirate Valera is a good Valera skin. I don't think he's gonna like that, but I don't, whatever. I have a comment though. I don't understand why Rogue keeps getting different variations of Valera, while every other class is just getting different actual heroes. I don't know if anyone's actually heard anything about this or what's going on there. I noticed this today when I saw that picture and there was 5 different Valera skins and I was like, these are all just Valera, and then we have Maiev. They're all great. I love them all, but I don't know, whatever. I'm just talking out my ass. Congratulations, Justin, you won. So I'm gonna move the
Can we use our
crown.
own channel points on ourselves?
Can you? Go for it.
I've got to go with 1 second here.
I mean, I have to be consistent though. I'm not gonna count them.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's okay. I'll save them.
Because Marty would have made it to the finals one time, but someone bought points at the very, very end after the last question, and I didn't count them. So,
Dang.
yeah.
I want my voice back.
Anyways, Justin, you get
Maybe-
about 30 seconds here to talk about whatever you would like. This is your time to shine. So, with that, you
Wow.
have the floor. Say whatever you would like. It's all you.
Whatever. How many words? Can I look up a list of words that get you banned on Twitch? Just kidding, of course. No, thanks for putting this on. Thanks for having me here. I guess I was a new face that was looked on favorably for this week, so I'll appreciate that. I also appreciate my teachers for giving me enough homework that I was able to work the weekend and then not have things to do tonight. Appreciate all my teammates and all the people in Twitch chat. I appreciate my mom because we've gotten to that level. And I don't know. Fun fact for you today. I'm trying to think of one on the spot, but it's not going to be very fun because I didn't prepare it. But yeah, U.S. passed 500,000 coronavirus deaths. I'm not excited about that. Are you?
Oh, that's
Everyone else is
great,
muted. You
great
can't even
fact.
get to me.
Thanks for just bringing down the mood here at the very tail end of the show.
It's what Mr. THL would have wanted.
I don't think he would have. Anyways, so with that, we're gonna unmute Icicles and Marty B here. Now, I have a question for all four of you. Molstar asked the question, "What's Prime Gaming?" Does anyone want to answer that question for him?
Ooh. I have a script for it on Tavern Talk that you can come back Wednesday to hear me read.
You want,
Must be
okay,
fun at parties.
I guess we're not good enough for Justin's Prime Gaming tonight.
I just realized I was
I
muted
actually gave
myself.
it. I used my Prime Gaming last Wednesday on the stream.
Well,
Quite epic.
if I'm not gonna go through the whole script, but if you do have the means right now to subscribe, or if you have Amazon Prime, we would greatly appreciate it. Everything that comes in from subs and from Prime subs gets used back into THL to help run the website and help run various aspects of streaming and everything. And so everything gets put back into the org. So we appreciate it. We thank all of you that
Okay, I
choose to
lied.
do
I'll
so.
do it.
Okay,
That
whatever.
was just
Go
a
for it.
small tactic. I'm warmed up now. Thank you so much for tuning into Around the Saloon on Mondays. If you are enjoying the show, make sure you check out Making Fun of People every week at this time on Mondays, and Ronnie Tuesday on Hearth Center on some day you'll never guess. Is that enough content for you? We also have okay, I can go on. We also have Tavern Talk on Wednesdays. Please consider subscribing.
Podcast.
Yeah.
I
Subscribe to
didn't want to talk about the
THL
podcast.
Voicon, as well as the lovely THL chat badge and sub emotes. So hit that heart button, keep the notifications on, and make sure you catch our team broadcasting live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note for our viewers checking out THL's other social media points of interest, such as our website, Twitter, Discord, and THL podcasts, wherever podcasts are sold.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna call it there because I'm tired and we are 9 minutes past time. So with that, Justin might be back next week if he's able to be back to defend his crown. If not, then we'll have 4 new people on next week instead of just 3. Have a great weekend and or a great week into the weekend because it's Monday. And I'll talk to all of you in 7 days. Peace.
Yeah.